What's going on, guys? Reisshub here, covering the FNCS Invitational again, this time for week 1, day 1. Last week I covered the Opens, now we're finally getting stuck into the actual tournament. So quick rundown of the format is that there is around 500, I think it's around 570 people have qualified from the previous weeks and from the previous FNCS Grand Finals, and a couple of invitees on top of that have all qualified here, and the top 300 from this week will move on to week 2. So again, last week I covered the Opens, which I think around 100 to 150 people qualified. Still not sure how many people it actually was. There's a total of 20 games, 10 yesterday, 10 today. So the results are added up from both days, and whoever is in the top 300 from that will go forward to next week. And as always, I'm just covering EU and NA East because they're the two bigger regions. So as always, let's get things started with EU first. And in first place, something that should surprise absolutely no one is NRG Benjyfishy. He's in first with 250 points. He has 2 victory royales in all of his games, a 9th, a 19th, and a 17th, and then a bunch of kind of not so good games on top of that as well. He had the highest average eliminations being at 4.22 per game, and the next highest being 3.4, so almost an entire elimination above second. He's had 14 top 100 solo cash cup placements, 17 first places across all tournaments out there, and he's currently second in power rankings in EU. His hair probably looks somewhat like mine does at the minute as well. In second place, we have another very, very well-known player here with Atlantis Letshe. He came second with 233 points. He had a first, a second, and a fourth in with his games, and he was second in the average eliminations with 3.4 per game. He just started with a new controller today, and he had 10k viewers on his live stream while he was testing out, so he's just good at solos. He came first in the World Cup solos week 5 and third in DreamHack Sweden, so consistent solo player. He even says himself he likes solos more than teams. He's had 8 different tournaments where he came second or third and only 2 firsts, so it's kind of cursed in getting that first position here. He's 26th overall in the power rankings. In third, we have a name who's new to me, which is Vadil. He came third with 201 points. He had the same average eliminations as Letshe at 3.4, which is our tied second highest of the day. He has around 6k earnings and qualified in the Opens by coming 92nd, just scraping by 4 points. So to already be in third is a huge performance for him, and he's really put himself in a good spot to qualify tomorrow. In fourth, we have Kami, which I'm sure if anyone's familiar with the EU scene will recognize this name. He came in fourth with 201 points. He only had 22 eliminations, so only 40% of his points came through eliminations, despite it being a very elimination-based format. He had no victory royals, but he had 3 second place finishes and another one in the top 10. So that's 4 games out of 10 that he placed in the top 10. He's currently 91st in the power rankings in EU, and he's placed 5th in his duo grand finals with his duo Cubex, and that's what qualified him here. His only first place in the tournaments is the week 1 of the FNCS duo semis, and 1 daily duos cup as well. So he's yet to come first in a solo tournament, despite being so consistent in these cash cups. In 5th, another man who needs no introductions, Andalex. He came 5th with 200 points, and he only had 21 eliminations, similar to Kami, so again, 40% of his points were from eliminations, not from placement, so again, not a slayer, just a guy who could be very consistent. His highest elimination game was only 6, so again, pretty low, and he had 2 victory royales and 2 other games that were top 10 on top of that. Andalex is currently 4th in the EU power rankings, and he won the duos FNCS Grand Finals and their heats in that as well. He came 11th in squads, 19th in trios, and he was 10 places away from qualifying for World Cup duos as well. He's had tons of daily cup wins and a platform cash cup, so just, what can I say, super consistent player. Everyone should know his name by now. Watch his gameplay, learn from him. Okay, so there are obviously a lot of players who are also, within the top 300 sitting ready to qualify here, but I can't go through all of them, so I'm just going to go through some of the notable ones so far, and I've kind of listed more on the screen here too. So in 6th, we have Fremont, who won 3 games out of the first 5, which is a really good pop-off. In 9th, we have Moraine, who was the DreamHack Sweden winner, so another consistent solo placement here. In 10th, we have Metro. In 25th, we have Lazen, who is the console FNCS winner, so those skills seem to be carrying over here, even though I'm pretty sure he's playing on PC. In 31st, we have Mr. Savage. 34th, we have TSM Crew, who won the Squads FNCS and many other tournaments, along with Zanapi, who was in 38th. 50th, we have Tohaj, who was actually, I think, top 5 at some point early on in the tournament, who's dropped down a little bit, but 50th is still very impressive. 54th, we have Nate, who also won the Duos FNCS along with Andalex. 66th, we have Wolfies. 77th, we have Mongrel. And 78th, we have Coolest Carrot, who was first on day 1 of the Opens. In 101st, we have Talek, who was first overall in the Opens, so it's good to see him hanging around with his higher tier players as well. 224th, we have Aqua. In 248th, we have Slow, who was also one of the winners of the FNCS console duos. And in 297th, we have Bolle, who is actually a mobile player in the top 300 here. Okay, so just looking at the bottom half, these are the people who are currently out of the range to qualify, so out of the top 300. Obviously, it just takes one good game from any of these people to hit them into the top 300. However, these are the people who are sitting outside of that now. Okay, so let's move on to NA East next. And in first place, we have Commandment, who came first with a whopping 308 points, which was 99 points ahead of second place. He won his final 3 games with 8, 13, and then 10 eliminations respectively, which is really impressive. His games before that were reasonably consistent too, having 3 top 20 placements. He's 9th in the power rankings, and he's had 14 different tournaments where he's placed first. He's had a 4th in the FNCS Squad Grand Finals, and he qualified for the World Cup in solos by coming 4th in week 1, and then placed 20th in the World Cup LAN. He's definitely a player that isn't talked about as much as should be, but the placements are speaking for themselves. In second, we have Nut with 209 points. He had only 27 eliminations and no victory royales, but he just had consistent placement throughout all of the games, and that was the key to him being up in the top of the leaderboard. He had 3 top 5 games and another 3 that were in the top 15. He is a controller scrimmer, and he had a lot of people who know him as the guy who quadruple dinked Canada, but he is also currently 2nd on the NA East power rankings for console and 128th on PC. He made heats in trios and squads at FNCS, but didn't make the grand finals, and then he came 6th on the console FNCS at grand finals, and that's what's qualified him here. He's won 8 different tournaments on console and 2 on PC. In third, we have Nittle, who had 202 points. Like others we've seen, Nittle wasn't an overly aggressive player, getting 50% of his points from eliminations and 50% from placement. He had 1 victory royale and 3 other games that he placed in the top 10. Nittle is 33rd on the NA East power rankings, but is only placed first in 2 different events, which was the FNCS Squads warm-up finals and the World Cup Solos Week 9 Opens. He did qualify for the World Cup Solos in Week 3, but unfortunately he only got 1 point in the LAN event, coming 92nd. He's clearly a very strong and consistent solo player, so it'll be interesting to see how he plays out throughout the weeks. In fourth, we have Jahq with 196 points, who really has been making a name for himself in Chapter 2. He had 3 victory royales out of the 10 games that he played, 2 of these being back-to-back. Jahq has 2 first place finishes in tournaments, one being the FNCS Week 2 Opens and the other being a solo Hype Night. He is, however, one of the most consistent solo players, coming top 100 16 times in the solo Cash Cups, despite never winning one. And thanks to Arcane CG for that little statistic. In 5th, we have Avery with 190 points, who managed to win 2 games and have only 1 other game where he gained a substantial amount of points. All of the other games, he appeared to have died in the early game, so definitely a little bit less consistent than our other top 5 players. Avery placed 7th in the grand finals of the Duos FNCS and won the Squads FNCS as well. He hasn't managed to win a solo tournament yet, but has multiple top 10 placements in the solo Cash Cups, showing his potential to do really well here if he stays consistent. Okay, so let's move on to the other players who are currently sitting within the top 300. So in 8th, we have Colazo. In 9th, we have Clicks. 11th, we have Furious, who was a console player who managed to drop a 17 kill game within there, which is extremely impressive. I'm definitely going to have to go back and watch that one. 17th, we have Reverse 2K, who seems to be coming back to his good solo playstyle again. 22nd, we have Illust, who came first in the Opens. 23rd, we have Unknown, who everyone knows. In 30th, we have ICF, who came in the top 5 of the Opens as well, so again, he's consistent with his placement in these tournaments. 37th, we have Nanolight. 56th, we have Aspect, who we really haven't seen a lot of in Chapter 2. 67th, we have Buga. 80th, we have Canada. 84th, we have Zexro. 103rd, we have Animal. Similar to Aspect, not a huge showing this season. 155th we have Bizzle, 163rd we have Severe 2C, who was second in the Opens, and in 261st we have Emad, who's currently looking to qualify for the second round as well, which is pretty great to see. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Hope you guys are enjoying these FNCS roundups. I'm going to do the next video tomorrow, so I'm blasting these out for day 2 as well, so I can get that covered. And then later on in the week, I'm going to be doing a VOD review of whoever wins. Maybe not whoever wins, just someone who's really impressive across either EU or NA East at some point. So if you liked the video, please like and subscribe. If you're on Reddit, go and check my other post history for all these other kind of roundups that I'm doing. And I hope you guys have a good day. Catch you later.